The following is a Furnish Brothers production. Introducing your hosts, Rob and Ryan. Please welcome to the Talking Buds podcast.
That's right, we are back. Episode 6 of the Talking Buds podcast. And Ryan, what a week it has been.
What is going on, my brother? And man, it has been a week, a roller coaster of emotions. Last week we were a little down. Then they get 2 huge wins, and all of a sudden you're kind of just looking at yourself being like, are we overreacting over some of these losses? Like, I don't know, man. What do you think?
Would you call tonight a huge win?
I would say it's a huge win in the sense that they held on, you know? Like, you look at one of these games and it's like 2-1, and if you just look at the score, you'll be like, this was a defensive hockey game. But when you're watching the game, like, the Leafs, they had a good first period, which is the opposite of what they've done the past couple home games. Usually they light it up in the third period. But tonight, they lit it up in the first period, and they just held on. It wasn't a defensive game, but you got to give them credit, man. And I'm looking at the goaltender. The goaltender has been phenomenal so far this season.
And of course, we're talking about tonight's 3-1 win over the Vegas Golden Knights. A tale of 3 separate periods, in my opinion. The Leafs came out flying in the first period. Got a quick goal from downtown Connor Brown, my last week's bum of the week. He told me where to go with me calling him a bum last week. Second period, Marner comes out. Beautiful goal 9 seconds in. And then after that, the Leafs just said, all right, I think we're done here. And got completely dominated for the remainder of the second period. The third period was an absolute snooze fest. And the Leafs just, Vegas having trouble scoring. The Leafs were able to hold on. Nazem gets the empty netter at the end. And they pick up the 3-1 W. But for quite honestly, Ryan, they kind of held on for dear life. They got outshot 37-21. Shot attempts were 82-40 in favor of Vegas. So yes, it is a big win because they've been struggling lately at Scotiabank Arena. But this was not the same team I watched on Saturday night in Pittsburgh.
No, and the shot attempts, it's a stat that where you're kind of sitting at home being like, how much is the stat really impacting your opinion on the team, you know? But tonight, the first period, they skated really well. They kind of picked up where they left off on Saturday. The second period, they just got absolutely dummied. Like, the second period was just yikes. And
well,
then
they kind of packed it in after the Marner goal. They were just like, all right, that's it. We're done here.
Yeah, they kind of just ran out of gas, and I don't know if it's just you don't want to say they quit, but, you know, it's just, it happens in hockey. Like, you play 82 games a year, which, by the way, the NHL schedule, too long. Like, you know, I'm just watching the game tonight being like, we're watching the Vegas Golden Knights against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like,
yeah. And to your point, last week, they have yet to play. They've only played the Habs once, the Sens once. Haven't played the Lightning yet. They finally get to play Boston on Saturday. The schedule to start the season has definitely been odd.
Yeah, and like a schedule, like I'm not a huge, like, let's sit and analyze the schedule. But sometimes you're sitting watching a game being like, this is one of these hockey games where you kind of realize that the season is just a little bit too long. Like, these are 2 teams that play each other twice a year, and tonight, both of them, Vegas has a horrible road record. The Leafs have a horrible home record. So it's just kind of like, which team's going to win out tonight? And it was a somewhat entertaining first period from a Leaf fan perspective, but it kind of just slowed down and turned into one of those early November, mid-November hockey games where it's just like, man, sometimes you think about it and this season's just a little bit too long.
Well, let's get into the issues at home, the home ice struggles, or the Scotiabank struggles, as I like to call them. This team, you know, it's been the topic du jour for the past week, is they've been a dominant team on the road. All their best games this season have been played on the road, and they really struggle at home, putting in a full 60-minute effort. And again tonight, they came out in the first period tonight, and I'm sitting there going, this is it. Finally, this is how they looked on Saturday. They're finally going to get this monkey off their back. And then sure enough, that's not what ended up happening. And just what do you think? Because I've been on this. If you check the tape, Ryan, check the tape. If you go back to episode 3, so 3 weeks ago, I was saying this team is going to be better on the road than they were going to be at home this season. I just got that vibe that they're going to be one of those really good road teams. But let's talk about why. Why do you think they struggle so much at Scotiabank Arena?
Well, for the Talkin' Buds listeners that don't know, me and my bro Rob don't usually watch the games together. But on a rare occasion on Saturday night, we were in the same room watching the games together, or watching the game together. And they were playing Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. And I turned to you and I said that when you're on the road, when you go out on the road to play a hockey game, you're staying in the hotels, you're taking the plane, you're taking the little bus to the arena from the hotel. And I feel like when you're on the road, you're just there to play hockey. Like, your main purpose, yeah, you might go, like, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. Hint, the Ottawa Senators and the Uber. But, yeah, we're going to get to that a little later. But I just think when you're on the road, you're there for a sole purpose. That's to play a hockey game in another arena. So when you go there, you're focused on one thing. And almost like road games feel like they're not the same as they were 20 years ago. You know, like, I feel like it's a little easier to win a road game now because you go there, you're just focused on the game. You go there, do your job, do your thing. When you're at home, you're in your condo, you're in your apartment, you're texting your buddies. What are we doing after the game? And I know that might be a little silly take. There's probably more to that. But I just feel like on the road, you're just more focused on playing hockey. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why they play so well on the road. Why they play so well on the road, we'll never know. But if I'm just looking at it from some sort of an opinion, I think just the fact that being on the road and thinking about hockey is a huge factor for them.
I don't think that's an unreasonable take. I think you're onto something there. I think that's part of it, but I also think that, like we talked before about how that arena just sucks. Like, it's just the environment in there. It's not like the Toronto Maple Leafs are regularly compared to the New York Yankees in Major League Baseball, the Dallas Cowboys in the National Football League. And those two teams, their home stadiums are rocking game in and game out. Scotiabank Arena, as I said last week, is a morgue half the time.
Yeah,
and
it is a morgue.
You can hear pin drop in there.
Yeah, it is a morgue. And in the middle of November, you'd be like, why does it really matter, you know? Like, so what if the crowd's loud or not? Just go out there, play your game, play hard. But you know what? If I was a player on the Leafs, I'd kind of just be like, where's the volume in here? Like, where are the fans at? You know, like, I thought we were supposed to be the most popular team in the league, and yet we get more cheers on the. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a ton of Maple Leaf fans in Pittsburgh the other night.
I considered
a ton.
For this week's Beauty of the Week, I didn't end up going with it, but for this week's Beauty of the Week, I considered making it PPG Paints Arena because that was basically a home game in Pittsburgh on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I know, like, all the hockey broadcasts get really excited over the Canadian hockey broadcasts get really excited over American buildings singing the Canadian national anthem so audibly, but even I noticed it. Like, there was a ton of Leaf fans in that building, and it's just I don't know what it is. It's just the road just seems to be home for this team this year, and the Scotiabank Arena, and we always talk about it. Everyone always has the same excuse. It's the corporate thing, but I think in a team playing in the beginning of November, it's just, you know what, we can get over the crowd, whatever. It's really puzzling. Like, it's really hard to just put your finger on one reason why they've struggled at home so much this year.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm going to use this as a segue to talk about another topic that I've been waiting to discuss. Do you think part of the home ice issues have to do with the coach trying to match lines? They suggested that on the broadcast tonight, that may have something to do with it. But based on the game I saw tonight, I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I'm not letting Babs off the hook. I think Babs, my issues with Mike Babcock have been well documented, and I'm sure they'll come up again later in the show, but I don't necessarily buy into Babcock line matching as the reason for them struggling on home ice.
No, I think line matching this year is a little different than last year, because last year you had your whatever line order you want to go in, but you had Matthews with Nylander and Hyman. Then you had, at the beginning of the year, you had Marner with Van Riemsdyk and Bozak, and then you had Kadri with Marlowe and whatever guy they decided to have on their wing. And to me, it's a little easier to line match. And let me go back and say that for people who don't know, I was pretty hard on James Van Riemsdyk as a Maple Leaf. Not because I thought he was useless or anything. It's just, he did have 36 goals last year, and realistically, there's not much more you can ask for a guy. But around the ice, he just didn't really impress me. But last year was a little easier to line match because you could put that third line Kadri line out against their best line, and then your other two lines had Matthews on one, and then Van Riemsdyk and Marner on another. So this year, it's a little more challenging to line match because what do you get? Par Lindholm? I know Par Lindholm's been pretty strong on the draws this year, but that's everyone's favorite stat to go to when a guy's struggling. Oh, well, at least he's winning faceoffs. Whatever. Yeah, he can't score, he can't pass, he can't do anything else skilled, but he can win draws. So you know what? Good guy, good player. But this year, I just feel like it's a little harder to line match. And I honestly, I haven't seen too much line matching from Babcock this year.
No, I don't either. And we went on a little bit last week about Freddy the GOAT and how Babs was giving him more ice time than what we thought was necessary. But since Matthews has gone down, he seems to be rolling with his big boys a little more. And not like Marner's out there every other shift tonight, it seems like.
Yeah, they mentioned it in the broadcast too. It seems like Marner's ice time has escalated since the Matthews injury, and it's like, of course, like why wouldn't it increase? Like the guy.
Well, that's a change for Babs, Ryan. Like he in the past has just rolled his lines and, well, you got to get this guy out there because he's good pro in situations and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. He put your best players out there, Mike.
Exactly. But it's Mike. We always talk about how Mike, we talked a lot about Mike Babcock through the first 5 episodes of this show. And what is like we always talk about how he loves the veterans. Like, what is the year where Mike Babcock's like, you're a veteran, I'm going to treat you like a veteran? Because Mitch Marner, say whatever you want, fair or unfair, Austin Matthews has missed this year, last year with injury. William Nylander is a no-show this year. So where's the one, you look at what's their core, okay? It's Marner, it's Matthews, it's Nylander supposedly, with Rielly and maybe Andersen. Like that's their main core that they went
right
with
now. Yes.
So
yes, agreed.
Fair or unfair, Marner's the guy who's been the constant. Like, you know, like he's been there pretty much every single night. I can't even think of my head. Maybe he missed a couple games last year or the year before with a day-to-day or whatever. But he's the one constant that's been there every single night the past 2 years. So it's like, you know what? Let's reward this guy. This guy's on the ice. He holds onto the puck longer than anyone in the league.
Oh, I love him.
Like
he's a wizard out there when he gets the puck on his stick. Yeah. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, we follow the league, and there's a lot of elite players out there. But I would challenge anyone on a player that holds onto the puck longer than Mitch Marner does. This guy gets the puck and he holds on to it like an extra 5 seconds sometimes.
It's amazing.
Before he can make a pass in the offensive zone. Like he's incredible. I know he's small, whatever beef people can think they have with him, but Mitch Marner is just an absolute dynamic hockey player with the puck.
Well, do you think my totally unqualified take in episode 1 was Mitch Marner will ask for minimum $10 million going into negotiations this offseason. They said tonight on the broadcast that's looking like that's going to be the case. Where are you at with that? Do you think you pay him 10 sheets? Because he passed Matthews in career points tonight. Granted, Matthews is missing time, but he passed Matthews in career points tonight.
Yeah, like the pro-rated stats are like, what would he have if he played a full 82? But Marner passing Matthews in career points tonight means that one guy's been more healthy than the other. And I don't care if Matthews had more points ahead of him, he played less games or whatever. But Mitch Marner is kind of an example to me of what the new NHL is all about. It's not about the Patrick Kanes of the world who got paid $10 million a year after winning 3 cups, or just earned that after winning 3 cups. It's a guy who's super skilled, has a super high ceiling, and people are talking about 10 sheets for a guy just because he's young and has a high ceiling. Really?
Well, to your point, that is the new NHL. Now you get paid, like you're right. Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews had to win those cups before they got paid. Marner and Matthews are going to get paid before they even get out of the first round. Like hopefully they go farther this year. But let's just say they get dummied out of the first round again this year. They're still getting paid their money.
Exactly. It's the Leafs are kind of on the wrong end of this new NHL style. It's like, here's a guy 3 years into the league, or this is his third year in the league, super high ceiling, has had a good 3 years, kind of 60 to 70-ish points, who all of a sudden just gets $10 million. And I don't want to slam Mitch Marner. Like, he's a great player. I love Mitch Marner. Who doesn't love Mitch Marner watching him on the ice? See some of the back checks he had tonight? Like, this guy works hard all over the ice.
The goal that he scored tonight. My God. Just a rocket, top shelf.
Yeah, exactly. And we make a joke sometimes being like, Mitch Marner would pass the puck on a breakaway. But tonight was a good example of him being like, here's an opportunity to shoot the puck. I'm going to shoot the puck, and he gets it in. But you know what? It's so weird, this NHL that's happening. It's getting younger and younger and younger every single year. You look at this Elias Pettersson or Elias Peterson, whatever you want to call him.
Isn't it Elias Peterson?
I've heard Elias Peterson. I've heard Elias Pettersson. Like, I don't know what to call this guy. But you look at this guy. First year in the league, he looks like Pavel Bure.
Yeah, he does.
So far into this league.
He looks unbelievable. He's got to be the front runner for the Calder. Like, I know we're just over a month in.
And all the NHL analysts are going crazy about this guy. But this is another player in the league, kind of like where Marner's at, where it's like 3 years in the league, the Canucks won't go far in the playoffs. They might not even make the playoffs this year. Everyone expected them not to make the playoffs, but since he's playing so well, they're in a good position. But here's an example of a guy who has a high ceiling coming off his entry level, who's all of a sudden in the 10-figure conversation.
Yeah, I know. He's only been in the league a month.
I know, it's insane. It's just like, I get it. Like, I get it. I know. This is the league. And hopefully the cap keeps rising so you can afford these players. But if you're debating a $10 million contract with Mitch Marner, regardless of how good he is, you better have everything in your arsenal, because you can't afford to be paying Marner $10 million and
Tavares
Matthews,
11.
Yeah, Tavares is already at 11.
I'm going to tee you up here for this, because I know you have strong feelings about this. Matthews will likely get in the McDavid 12 and a half range. 13, even Bob McKenzie threw out 13 tonight as a potential. That, you know what? I'm just gonna let you go. How do you feel about that?
Austin Matthews, some of the talk has been like Austin Matthews might get the same or more as Connor McDavid. And if he gets the same as Connor McDavid, I could rationalize to myself he could be as important to his team as Connor McDavid is. But if he gets more than Connor McDavid, I'm sorry, anyone who's listening to this podcast or anyone who's ever watched hockey in their lives and have watched Connor McDavid play multiple hockey games and have watched Austin Matthews play multiple hockey games, you could easily come to the conclusion that Connor McDavid is maybe the best hockey player we have ever seen in our lives, other than Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
Like, Wayne Gretzky, obviously he played in a different era, 5 points a game type of era, but Connor McDavid is honestly maybe the fastest hockey player I've ever seen skate with the puck in my entire life. And he is on the ice. And the biggest difference between the both of them is Matthews plays about 18 minutes a night, and I've seen McDavid up to 27 minutes a night for the Oilers. So that makes a difference.
That's a little excessive. Whereas McDavid is, like, you're right, he's in the Gretzky conversation. Like, that guy's speed is there's no one else like him in the league. It's not even close.
No, like, Connor McDavid is one of the best hockey players I've ever seen in my entire life. And every time you miss it, I'm not going to pretend I stay up and watch all the Oilers games. But if you go on whatever app you have the next morning and click the Oilers game that happened the night before, Connor McDavid usually has 2+ points a game. And I don't know if that's the ice time difference, but you watch the highlights, or when you do get a chance to watch this guy play, he is all over the ice and making guys in the league who are good look silly. And we love Austin Matthews as much as anyone. I love Austin Matthews. I was the most happy guy on planet Earth when Bill Daly drew that Leaf card and we knew that we were going to get Austin Matthews. But Austin Matthews in the same conversation money-wise and team importance to Connor McDavid, to me, is just a little bit of a stretch. And you can't afford it for your salary cap. Like, you just can't afford it.
No, he's not. Yeah, it's true. He's not McDavid. He doesn't have McDavid's two-way ability. He doesn't have McDavid's speed. He may have better, like, hands around the net and goal-scoring prowess, but I'm with you on this 100%. There's going to be some folks in Leaf Nation who are not happy with this take, but I'm sorry. Like, it's just, to me, it's just a realistic way of looking at it.
Yeah, the 200-foot game is just something that people bring up to make themselves feel better almost. Like, you know what? 200-foot game is, they're kind of, McDavid's not exactly a Patrice Bergeron Selke winner, you know? And neither is Austin Matthews. And Austin Matthews has made some serious strides in his own end over the past couple of years. But when it comes to just game-to-game production and game-to-game difference at the end of the night, I just don't think Austin Matthews is at Connor McDavid's level yet. So if I see Austin Matthews sign a contract that is richer than Connor McDavid's and affects the Toronto Maple Leafs salary cap, then it's just like, you're kind of sitting there being like, oh boy, they've really dug themselves into a hole.
Yep. I don't disagree, Ryan. All right, well, I think we've beaten that topic to death. There are two more. We're kind of on a player's kick right now. So there's two more players I want to touch on. The first is Morgan Rielly. Morgan Rielly is currently leading NHL defensemen in points and is making a claim that he has the potential to be a potential. They were calling him a Norris Trophy candidate tonight on the broadcast.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Well, at this point, I mean, yeah, and he's making a case that he's a legitimate number one center in the league. But before we talk about his overall play, I want to read a quote from Mike Babcock, then I want to pose a question. Mike Babcock, at the end of the Pittsburgh game, says, quote, "There was no one who likes being a Leaf more than Morgan. He provides leadership and has unbelievable enthusiasm every day and a zest for life and that he shares with the guys. You need energy people, and he's one of them." Is Morgan Rielly the next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I can't even pretend to predict that, man. Like,
because that is the most Mike Babcock quote. All he's missing is a family. That's the only thing he's missing. Is being a good family man.
Further veteran in the league.
That is the most Mike Babcock quote I've ever heard. I would not be surprised at this point if Morgan Rielly's the front runner for being the next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Babs, and he's off to a hell of a start.
No, he is. And I made the joke about you said the Norris candidate trophy, and I thought that was a little rich, but you look at a guy like Erik Karlsson, who's won a ton of Norris trophies, and the main reason being, in my mind, is that he's led the league in points by defensemen, and it's really impressive when a defenseman is up there in points because just the position he plays. And Morgan Rielly, no one would love more than Morgan Rielly to be a top Norris candidate. And this year, Morgan Rielly is the defenseman of the new era.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Just pause for a second. Let's stop the Norris and let's just talk about, like, do you think he's a number one defenseman in the NHL?
I think we're jaded by some of the number one defensemen we've seen in the past, like Duncan Keith, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, Drew Doughty, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, a guy like Victor Hedman. Some of those guys are unicorns, guys who can get a good amount of points during the regular season and a guy who can defend hard in his own end. Morgan Rielly, first glance, isn't a guy who can defend really hard in his own end, but you know what? He's a modern day NHL 1 and 2. I think he's a number one, and based off what he's getting paid, like, yes, the guy's getting $5 million a year, and he signed
That's
that
a Lou
happily.
Lamoriello special, that contract.
Exactly, and I feel like Babcock kind of almost, I don't know if he did it directly, but kind of took a knife to William Nylander when he said that, because William Nylander is a guy who's proved absolutely nothing in the NHL, no matter what anyone says, and he's looking for some ridiculous number. And Morgan Rielly is a guy who's been in the league since he's been a rookie and just happily signed on the dotted line at $5 million for 6 years. Let's sign it. I want to be a Maple Leaf. And I feel like that weighs in heavily on that quote that you read from Babcock.
He has unbelievable enthusiasm every day.
Single day. You know, Morgan,
that means he's a good pro.
He's a good pro. He's in the gym every single day.
Yep, that's that. So, as second I read that quote, I was like, Morgan Rielly's in the running to be the next captain of the Maple Leafs. And from what CJ, Chris Johnson, I forget what show he was on last week, but he was saying that, like most pro sports teams, there's cliques in every dressing room. This guy hangs out, these guys hang out together, those guys hang out together. And Rielly's literally the only one who transcends all the cliques. He's boys with everyone.
If you've ever been in a situation where there's been a couple boys groups, you know that one guy who clicks all the groups together, you know that's a special dude. Like you know what? Like it's silly.
That's what I'm saying. I legitimately think he is in the running to be the next captain.
It's silly to sit here and be like, well, Morgan Rielly, you know, he's buddies with everyone. He should be the captain. But if you've ever been in like a dude setting, and there's different dudes who hang out with different dudes, and there's the one dude that can get all the dudes together, you know that's a special dude.
Yep, agreed. I'm telling you, Ryan, I'm going to keep beating this drum. He is in the running. I would not be surprised if next offseason he's announced as the next captain.
It's the safe bet. It's really the safe bet. And at the beginning of the season, it was Tavares or Matthews, and I feel like that's really quieted down since the season started, because when the season starts, it's just different. Our imaginations run to weird places in the offseason. It's just part of being a Maple Leaf fan. The offseason is almost like never land for a Maple Leaf. You just think of the most ridiculous things that could happen during a season. But if Morgan Rielly was named the captain, like, would we really be upset about it? Like, I wouldn't, man. Like, the guy's a beauty.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
Beauty.
That's what I think. It's a
beauty.
I think it's a reasonable choice. I like you said, it's the safe choice. I think I'm kind of, and the way he's playing, he's establishing himself, man. I'm telling you.
And we've seen lately on Toronto radio and television, we've seen a lot of Brian Burke. And regardless of what you think of Brian Burke is on the record saying when they drafted Morgan Rielly in the draft that year that he thought that Morgan Rielly was the best player in the draft that year. Yep. And you're kind of listening to that at the time. I don't know if Berkey was... I remember when he first came in, we were all excited, and by the end, we were all just like, "Okay, shut up, Berkey." But this was the point where you were kind of just like, yeah, Berkey, whatever. But if you look at the guys who went ahead of him in that draft, that was the Nail Yakupov year, the Ryan Murray year, and you kind of look at that draft class ahead of him, you're like, you know what? Maybe Berkey was onto something because Morgan Rielly is a hell of a hockey player, man.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for downloading the show. Don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram at Talkin' Buds Podcast, on Twitter at Talkin' Buds Pod. You can download the show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and tune in. Spread the word. Tell your friends. We really appreciate all the support. Thanks.
Now, let's get back to the Toronto Maple Leaf Podcast for all the buds. This is the Talking Buds Podcast.
Now, Ryan, before we move on from our player discussion, there is one more name I think we need to hit on, and that is Freddie Andersen.
Frederik Andersen. And you know what? I put an Instagram post on at Talkin' Buds Podcast about Frederik Andersen being a top 5 goalie in the National Hockey League. And I need to say this when we post something on Instagram, that we often come up with questions that are kind of on the borderline of people having different opinions about it. We want to push this question so far that...
On the borderline of people having totally unqualified takes?
Exactly. Tut. If you listen to the last...
Tut.
Yes. You know what? It's catching on, dude. Like, Tut? Like, why not?
Yeah, we're going to keep it as Tut.
T-U-T, Tut. I said I didn't dig it, but ever since you said it, I've kind of been on it the whole time.
It's growing on you.
Pretty
it's
good.
Growing on you.
But back to my point. But if we could push people to have certain opinions on questions that are kind of on the borderline of being ridiculous takes in real life, then we're going to do it. We posted an Instagram post asking people if Frederik Andersen was a top 5 goalie in the league. And I feel like a lot of people were struggling with the fact that we were asking if Frederik Andersen's a top 5 goalie in the league based on historical statistics or a top 5 goalie in the league based off recent statistics. Rob, where do you think we're at here? Because it's a tough argument, dude.
I think right now he is. At this point in time, he is. Overall, like career statistics-wise, no. But at this point in time, like look at the Vegas game tonight. They don't win that game if he's not in the net. He made 3 or 4 huge saves tonight. He's single-handed, and the defensive struggles of this team have been well documented. He single-handedly steals games for them on a regular occasion. So far this season, he steals games for them when they're not on the road. So it's a 2-part answer, kind of. Overall, statistically for his career, no, I don't think so. This season, in a bubble, in a vacuum, yes, I think right now he is one of the top 5 goalies in the National Hockey League.
I agree, and we don't go crazy into stats here, but this is a guy who has a save percentage over .920, and tonight he even improved on his .924 save percentage on allowing 1 goal tonight. And I will say, Frederik Andersen, regardless of stats, save percentage, goals against average, I've never seen him more comfortable and athletic in a Toronto Maple Leaf net than he has so far this season. He looks like I don't even know how to explain it. He looks so athletic. He looks so flexible. Like, I don't even know. Like, I'm not an expert goalie coach, but he
keeps going at this clip. He'll be in the Vezina conversation at the end of the year.
Yeah, my totally unqualified take. either last week or 2 weeks ago was that he would be in the Vezina conversation halfway through the season. And so far, he looks like that's going to happen because he looks so good, dude. He's in the top of his crease, stopping great shots up close. He's going side to side laterally, making huge saves. He's allowing less goals each game we watch. And he had 2 kind of rough games earlier in the season, but other than that, dude, like, he looks like he's just on top of his game. And we talk about defensemen in the National Hockey League taking a long time to develop. How about a goalie? Does a goalie take long to develop? I think so. It takes a long time. And this guy is 28 now, 27, 28, and he looks on top of his game.
Well, we talked last week. I made the point last week that his body language in the net is a real tell about how he's going to play. When he stands at the top of his crease and he looks confident and he's moving, it's about his movement too, like you said. When he's moving, he's got a lot of flow to his game. He makes all the saves look easy. He gets into position really quickly. That's a tell about how he's going to play that night. When he fights it, it's noticeable because, like, I've never played goalie. I don't know the first thing about being a goalie coach or what's right positioning or stance and all that kind of stuff. But just watching the game on my own, you can tell when it's going to be a good night for Freddy and when it's going to be a bad night for Freddy. And right now, he fully looks like he's in the zone.
Yeah, I'd say about 90% of the games he started for them this year, he's looked like he's got everything in control. He's a big dude, man. He's like 6'5" or something. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but we saw Jonas Enroth, whatever you want to call him, play in the net last year at 5'10", which is like about my height. And he looks pretty small in there. And Freddy's a big dude. If you're a big dude who can move laterally, can cover the top of the net, and just be a sponge for pucks coming towards you, then it makes a huge difference. And Freddy has been, regardless of the October start, he's been so good for the Maple Leafs the past 2 years. And this year, it looks like he's almost taking his step up.
He's gone to another level.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's
like
age.
He's turned it up a notch.
I don't know if that's age or if it's training or if it's whatever it is, because we don't...
We were kind of poking fun at him a couple weeks ago because he's not necessarily the most charismatic of individuals.
No, he's still the worst interview in the National Hockey League. I'll still stand by that.
He comes off as someone who takes it really seriously. Like, he comes off as someone who is super focused. And this team, I don't care who their forwards are, their center depth, whatever, they're not going anywhere in the postseason if he doesn't play well.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And someone on our Instagram on that Frederik Andersen post brought up his contract and how team-friendly it is. Because if you're a great goalie in the National Hockey League, look at Carey Price. The guy signed a $10 million contract for the Montreal Canadiens. And you look at Frederik Andersen, I think he's making $5 million a year or around that. And that's a huge number for them because he's arguably the biggest asset on the team when it comes to being successful in the regular season and the playoffs. And he signed an extremely team-friendly contract, by far the best Lou Lamoriello deal of Lou Lamoriello's era with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that's a huge deal for them, man, because he's been so good this season.
Yep. I absolutely agree with you 100%. All right, now, before we slide into the weekly segments, what anything you want to touch on in the last week? It's so funny, right? The one thing about doing these shows, doing one a week, is you kind of go on a roller coaster ride. Like, if we'd done the show this time last week, we would have been pissed at everybody. Fire Babcock. He's overbearing. He favors the veterans, all that stuff. And then they go into Pittsburgh and play one of their best games of the season, and everything's good. And tonight, even though it wasn't a full 60-minute effort, they still get the win. So it really is, like, you got to kind of... Doing this show has made me kind of look at the season as more of, like, stretches and intervals, just based on when we do the podcast. So when they go out and play like crap, I'll caught myself there. This is a family-friendly show. I'm not necessarily freaking out.
And Babcock always talks about 5-game segments, and you're always like, all right, buddy, like 5-game segments, whatever you want to say, dude, whatever you want to do. But it's honestly, after doing this show weekly, it's pretty true, because you can get extremely high or extremely low during a week of games. And when they don't score any goals at home and they only score in the third period at home, you're kind of just being like, what is wrong with this team? And then they go to Pittsburgh and just run the table like Aaron Rodgers did on Saturday. And they play kind of like tonight. It was kind of just a weird game. But you know what? 2 points is 2 points. I'll take it. I'm not going to be too overly critical. I'll take the 2 points because they mean just as much now as they do later in the season. But one of the biggest things is Nylander, and we'll get to that later. But this team, you can't get too high on a week and you can't get too low on a week. And we're learning that as we're doing these weekly shows. And it's tough, though, because when you're a Leaf fan, you just want to get super into it. You want to dissect everything. What's this guy doing? What's this guy doing? But it's just, you got to kind of keep a level head while you're watching this season, being like, this is an 82-game season. I said earlier in this episode that an 82-game season is too long. And this is one of the things that factors in. It's just like, you can get so high and low on a hockey team, but at the end of the day, they win tonight and they're up there in the Eastern Conference. I think they're second now at 15 games played, 20 points, 21 points. It's just, you got to keep a level head. But when you're a Leaf fan, you just want to get into it. You want to dissect everything that's wrong, everything that's right. And it's just, you got to keep a level head.
Bums and
beauties.
It's time to find out who's a bum and who's a beauty. Take it away, buds.
Yeah, it's that time of the week now, bums and beauties. Ryan, let's start positive this week. So I want you to go first, and I want you to tell me who your beauty of the week is.
My beauty of the week is Morgan Rielly.
Oh, there it is.
Morgan Rielly, or as the boys like to call him, Mo.
The common thread throughout the locker room.
And I respect a guy like that, because you've hung out with boys before. You know how hard it is to get this boys group to respect this boys group. But if this guy can make all the boys groups respect each other, then I respect this man. But the main reason why I respect him, the main reason why he's a beauty of the week, is because he is just an absolute beauty. Like, what else can I say about the guy? The guy's been in the league since he was a rookie. He just gets better every single year. He signs a team-friendly contract. And when Mike Babcock says that this guy loves being a Maple Leaf more than anyone, honestly, dude, I believe it. He said he loves being a Maple Leaf more than anyone.
He has unbelievable enthusiasm every day and a zest for life.
Dude, I honestly, I believe it, man.
Yeah, I believe it too.
I believe it. This guy, every interview you see him in, every radio hit he does, every TV interview he does, he just seems like the most genuine dude, and he's my beauty of the week because I feel like this season he's just exceeded expectations. Team-friendly contract, legend, in the captain conversation. Yep. I feel like
I'm not going to let that go. He is in the captain conversation.
Exactly. And, do you disagree? No. I don't.
Nope.
Exactly. So why would you? He's my beauty of the week and maybe of the year, because he is leading the NHL in D points, which, whatever you want to think about that, but he's just had a great year so far. He's just the beauty. He's already an assistant captain. He skates like the wind. I'm not a huge fan of when he gets the puck in the slot and he takes a shot. He usually misses the net, but we'll let that go. But Morgan Rielly, you were my beauty of the week because of everything you've done this season and all the hearsay about you being a beauty in the room, and I respect that a lot. You're my beauty of the week.
I've said since we started doing this segment that it's week to week, so we can call you a bum one week, and then the very next week, we can turn around and call you a beauty. A couple weeks ago, he was kind of floating around. He wasn't playing to his full potential. And since then, he has kicked it back into high gear. Mitchell Marner, you are my beauty of the week. His ice time has skyrocketed since Matthews has been out with an injury. The guy is a force out there. The second he gets the puck on his stick, he's dominating in the offensive zone. Nobody can touch him. His puck control in the offensive zone is second to none on the team. Like he's on when everyone's healthy and they've got that loaded power play unit. His skill with the puck makes him the sort of QB of the power play unit because he's unbelievable. And tonight again, he's unbelievable. He's the most dangerous offensive player they have. That's even sometimes with Matthews healthy, with Nylander in the lineup, and with Johnny T, the guy is gonna command 10 sheets at the end of the season. He's worth every penny, in my opinion. Mitchie, you are my beauty of the week.
Yeah, Mitchie, I honestly, you can go through the league. You could go through all teams in the league. You could analyze him against other players in the league. There is no one, or there's few guys as good as him holding on to the puck in the offensive zone. As soon as you think this guy's going to throw the puck to the net or make a pass, he still has it on his stick. He's still looking for players that are open. He's going to throw it on net. He's going to look for a deflection. He's going to find the guy across ice.
He made a beauty pass to Johnny T tonight that Johnny T fanned on. But again, just controlling the puck in the offensive zone. There's no one like him.
No, and 10 sheets. In the new NHL, you could be like, yeah, he deserves it. It's going to be tough for the Leafs with the salary cap because it's like, you deserve 10 sheets, but we need to actually have a decent team. And we see that with the bottom six. It's hard to load up your salary cap and have a good bottom six. But I agree with that beauty. Mitchell Marner has been durable. He's been a point producer. He's been there every single day, as Babcock would say. And he just seems like
he loves hockey.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a problem in the room. He just seems like a guy who's just buddies.
Yeah, he does. He seems pretty laid back, doesn't he?
Yeah, he seems almost like a little kid sometimes, and he almost is a little kid. But you know what? Man, when that guy has the puck in the offensive zone, when he holds on to that thing, the whole zone just opens up, and it's hard to look at this guy and be like, you know what, we're going to underpay you because we need to pay Matthews.
That's what I'm saying.
Because this guy is arguably
the guy's worth every penny.
Yeah, he doesn't score as many goals as Austin Matthews, but in terms of having the puck and setting guys up, man, this guy is a beauty. So I believe your beauty of the week, and I love it.
All right, it's time to go down. Time to get on the negative train. Who do you want to go first? You or me? Bum of the week.
I'll go first. My bum of the week. This is going to be a new thing for the Talkin' Buds podcast. I'm going off the board.
Okay.
Not Maple Leaf related.
Okay.
I'm going with the Uber driver that recorded the Ottawa Senators chirping their team and their coach.
Yeah.
Although
that video, them chirping their own PK was pretty funny.
It was funny, and all they're like, yo, natty, bro, Twiggy. Look at I'm going to throw my Twiggy against the glass. Their hockey player talk was just nauseating. Yeah. But I'm going to go with the Uber driver because unless you own your own business and you're listening to this, then you probably won't understand too much. But if you have a boss and you work for a boss, sometimes
you just need to have a little vent sesh.
Exactly. And sometimes you can get a little too far, and sometimes you just need to kind of complain a little bit. And anyone who has a job and works for a boss knows that you can complain about your boss, and there's some things about your boss that kind of drive you crazy. And it could be the worst thing in the world, or it could be the littlest thing in the world. Most of the time, it's kind of in between, more along the lines of little things. But you kind of complain about your boss, and this Uber driver just sending out this tape. It's just so 2018. It's just so 21st century. I don't like it. I think it's just a TMZ clickbait. I'm going to get paid for this. And I think any guy who records a conversation like that and sends it is a piece of garbage. So Uber driver who recorded the Ottawa Senators talking about their coach is my bum of the week, because that is just so uncalled for, dude. Like, everyone does it. I know you work for Uber and your boss, you text him. He texts you where to go. So you don't really know your boss, you loser. But other than that,
you're gonna get heat from Uber drivers for this. You better hope Uber drivers don't listen to this show.
Do you think Uber's happy with this publicity?
No.
An Uber driver recording a conversation with their passengers and getting sent out?
No.
Like, that's ridiculous, dude. Like, come on. You know for a fact that people have private conversations. I don't think, when you listen to the thing, if anyone goes and listens to what they said in the Uber, I don't think it was anything too egregious.
No. It's just, and like, they're kind of dogging on the video coach, but I just thought it was hilarious because they're chirping that their PK's 31st in the league.
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like funny. I don't think if they went out and said something that was like extremely personal about him or his family or anything like that, then okay, that's a little too far. But all they were doing was chirping his coaching and him commentating the video instead of teaching it. So you know what? Get over it, dude. Sessions. And all the people who were complaining about it, you're a bum too. You probably own your own business if you're complaining about it, you bum. So you know what? Don't record private conversations. Don't send it out. Uber driver in Arizona who taped the Ottawa Senators in there, you're a bum.
My selection this week is Leaf related, and I'm just going to get right to it here. William Nylander, you're my bum of the week. First and foremost, you're my bum of the week because 2 weeks ago in my totally unqualified take, I predicted that you'd be signed by now, but you're not. Enough's enough, dude. This is ridiculous. Sign the bridge deal and then get your money in a couple of years in Carolina or whoever else. This is absurd. Tell your daddy that you're a big boy and you can go and play for a hockey team and you don't need him to hold your hand through all your contract negotiations. This is getting absurd. I've had enough. Everyone in the city's tired of talking about it and hearing about it. It's ridiculous. Either like just sack up and come back and play, or just go play in the KHL for the rest of the year, because this is ridiculous. You're not getting 7 or 8 million. You're not a $7 or $8 million player. I don't care what your dad tells you. Enough's enough. Time to get back and make a run here. Sign the bridge deal. Play with Matthews or Tavares or whoever, Kadri. Get some points, and then in a few years you can either stick the Leafs up for more money, or like I said, you can go play in Carolina and get paid 8 or 9 million. But this is ridiculous, and I've had enough. So William Nylander, you and your dad are my co-bums of the week.
Michael Nylander.
Oh, it's ridiculous, man. It's like you're a grown man. Tell your daddy to go mind his own business. Like, it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for how involved his daddy is in his negotiations. Like, come on.
The point with Michael...
You hire an agent for a reason.
The point with Michael Nylander is the guy played for like 8 NHL teams in his career. So, you know, he's in his ear being like, you know what? Teams aren't loyal. Teams won't pay you.
Yeah. So he's a pill.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's the modern... I guess it's a modern day NHL dad who has a lot of say, and the son's not going to look... William Nylander's not going to look at his dad and be like, you know what, Dad? You need to lay off. I'm going to sign what I want to sign. No, he's going to listen to what his dad says because his dad played in the NHL.
You know what? It's at the point. Is he even involved in the conversations? Is William even involved? Or is it Dad? Is it Dad?
I honestly believe he's not involved. My honest take, I don't think he's involved. I don't think he is. I think it's his dad and Louis Gross. And he kind of sits there being like, yeah, you know what? You're right. 8 million. You're right. I don't think William Nylander's sitting there. And I just don't see him looking at his dad being like, hey, man, you know what, Dad? I love you, but I'm going to sign this deal. No, dude, he's going to listen to everything his dad says. And I honestly believe that for a fact.
You know, you're a grown man. Like, and no, listen, if he wants to play hardball and whatever, and maybe get himself some more money, fine. But he's losing money that he'll never get back every day that he sits out All because his dad wants to play hardball with the team. Listen, it's an unfortunate situation. You're the first to get signed. Yes, Matthews and Marner are going to go right by you. But guess what, William? They're both better players than you. They deserve to get paid more money. Get over yourself. And if you don't like it, then you can go make your $8 million in Carolina and come in last for the next 5 years. Does that sound fun? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I am showing the frustration and vocalizing the frustration of this entire city right now because everybody is so sick of talking and hearing about this. It's absurd. Enough is enough.
Yeah, because all year we've been sitting here being like, yeah, you know what? It's the beginning of the season. He'll be signed. And he'll be this week he'll be signed, next week he'll be signed, the week after that he'll be signed. And guess what? It's November. He's not signed. And it's just everyone's tired of talking about it. And now it's shifted towards what teams are interested. Is it Carolina? Is it Philadelphia? Is it Los Angeles? And now we're looking at those three rosters being like, what defensemen do we want on each of these teams? And it's like, let's go. Let's figure it out. Let's go.
All right, before we get into Tut, let's take a look at the week coming up. A tough back-to-back on Friday, Saturday. You got the Devils at home on Friday night, and then the Boston Bruins.
Here we go. This is the game I have been waiting for since the beginning of this season. And here's the biggest question. Is it Frederik Andersen on Friday or is it Frederik Andersen on Saturday? Because if I'm Mike Babcock, let's go Frederik Andersen on Saturday because it's the Devils. And you know what? The Devils, Taylor Hart Trophy winner. Oh my God, Taylor Hall. The Devils are better than we expected. Who cares? It's Boston. They're in our division. We're battling with Tampa and them all year. Let's go. Frederik Andersen Saturday. If I don't see it, I'm going to call Mike Babcock personally. I don't have his number, but I'll find it, and I'll call him and go, where's Frederik Andersen in the net on Saturday? Because we need to get this game done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you got Sparks has got to go in on Friday night. There's no two ways about it.
Sparks got to get in a game, period. Like this guy's sitting on the bench rusting, and you know what? That's fine. That's an NHL backup goalie. I know he's the guy you're developing, but you have Frederik Andersen on a good contract right now. You brought him in to be the starting goalie. Garrett Sparks, you need to learn how to be a backup goalie, but he's got to get in a game at some point. Let's put him in on Friday. Let's say Andersen for Saturday, and usually that's not the conventional thinking. Usually it's put your starter in first, but I don't care, dude. Let's put Frederik Andersen on Saturday. Everyone wants to see this Boston game.
It just sucks that this one of the things that takes the wind out of my sails a little bit is no Matthews. You wish Matthews could be in there, but it is what it is. You're right. It's a huge game. That's a must watch on Saturday night. Like the Friday night game against the Devils, obviously you're gonna be tuning in. It's what we do. But the Saturday night game against the Bruins, we've been waiting. We've been whining about the schedule and how they've played the Stars twice and all that sorts of stuff. But finally, we get a Saturday night hockey night in Canada. Leafs Bruins. Stoked for that.
And it's not even about what the Leafs look like. I agree Matthews not in the lineup. It's a little disappointing, but let's just see how the Bruins look. This is our competition. Let's see how they look. And that's what I'm most interested in. Put Freddy in, put everything you can in, throw Marner on the ice, throw Tavares on the ice, match all the lines you think you want to match up, even though they're on the road. But let's go. This is the game everyone wants to see.
Ryan, I'm going to let you tell everyone what time it is.
It is time for the Talkin' Buds totally unqualified takes.
Also known as
Tut.
It's time for Talking Buds, totally unqualified takes.
Yes, it is definitely that time. Time for some totally unqualified takes. Ryan, I'm going to go first Next week, the Maple Leafs play Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, all on the West Coast. Kings, Sharks, and Ducks. The Leafs have been lights out on the road so far this season. I'm predicting the Leafs go 3-0 in that West Coast stretch.
Wow. That is a tough stretch on the West Coast. They're in Los Angeles, they're in Anaheim, they're in San Jose. You know, there is tons of things to do, extracurricular related, after those games. And if I was an NHL hockey player, hands up, freeze, I'm arrested. If I was in Los Angeles on a road trip, I'd be doing some pretty shady things. I'm not going to lie. So
I'm just going based on what I've seen from this team on the road so far this season. They seem to just be more comfortable on the road.
Well, that's a good call, you know? Like, why not? And you know what? Those teams in the West right now, like San Jose's stacked on paper, but they haven't really lived up to expectation yet. Los Angeles is brutal. You never know because it's the NHL, and Anaheim hasn't been consistent either. So it's very well possible, but they also got the Bruins on Saturday. There's a lot of games coming up, dude. Like, it just seems like they're kind of hitting you hard here, but they're up there in the Eastern Conference, and hopefully that good start, they can build on that. They've kind of been inconsistent since then, but they can continue to build on that and build their lead in the Eastern Conference.
Your turn.
And that leads to my totally unqualified take, and this builds off things I've said in the past, is that William Nylander will never wear a Toronto Maple Leaf uniform ever again on the ice. Dude, it's gone too far, dude. Like, in what I said earlier about the Maple Leafs being at the forefront of the NHL changing with all these new contracts of guys making double-digit figures on their contract. This William Nylander is kind of in a different zone, but it's kind of still in the same realm of things happening in the NHL. Here's a restricted free agent who wants too much money. They can't pay him because of the salary cap. And all these teams are interested because they're sniffing around knowing that they can't get this done. And I honestly believe that William Nylander will never wear a Toronto Maple Leaf uniform again for this season, for next season. And I don't know if they're going to move him. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just think this thing has gone too far.
Do you think they trade him before December 1st, or do you think they just say if nothing happens and he misses the year, a la Michael Pekka?
I know we're supposed to be experts and we're supposed to know, but honestly, dude, I don't know if it's trade. I don't know if he's sitting out the whole year.
Ryan, the segment's called Totally Unqualified Takes. We are not experts.
No, we're not experts. We don't pretend to be. But honestly, I don't know, dude. There's a lot of teams interested, and the teams that are interested, other than LA, a couple of these defensemen, but you look at Philadelphia, Ivan Provorov. When you love that guy in a Leaf uniform, young D.
Yep.
You look at Carolina, they got Brett Pesce.
Yeah, Pesce.
Great D. Like, you know, like you're kind of just connecting the dots here, being like, you know what, this could work. This could work. This is what we're looking for because they already have enough wingers, dude. And I know with Matthews out, it kind of thins out the top 12 or top 9 or top 6, whatever you want to look at it. But we're looking for a D-man. And I don't know if Kyle Dubas is going to look at it being like, we're going to look for a D-man or we're going to look for the best player available. But I don't care. This guy can't sign a contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs because of his dad, because of his agent. I don't know what it is, because of the number, because of the term, and it's gone this far, and I just think it just cannot get done at this point, especially if we're talking about Marner making 10 sheets or 9 sheets. Dude,
that means they'd have 3 guys over 10 mil. It's like, sorry, Willie, you're not getting over 7.
Yeah, you got Marner at 9 or 10, you got Tavares at 11, and people have Matthews at McDavid or over. So do the math yourself. Go look at the salary cap. It's not going to work. And I just don't think William Nylander is going to be in a Toronto Maple Leaf uniform for this year, next year, and for the rest of the time, my dude.
I'm at the point where I don't care. Like I'm so over this whole thing. Like, I'm tired of talking about it. I vented about it earlier. Like, just get it figured out. Either sign here and join the team and let's go on a run together, or pick a team you want to get traded to and whatever. Let's find a team that's got some defensive assets that we can use Nylander to attain, and that's that as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and we've talked about it pretty much every single episode this season, and we're both tired of it. And honestly, I'll make a promise right now. This is my last beauty bum unqualified take about William Nylander, because I don't feel like after this we'll need to do one, because he will not sign, and I just don't think it's happening. It's gone this far. Every week's been the most important week of the season so far when it becomes to signing William Nylander, and it hasn't happened yet. And I don't know if it's whatever it is, his dad, whatever, but it's just not happening, and I'm tired of talking about it, and I just don't think he's going to be a Maple Leaf ever again. And you know what? If they can get something good for him, then it's gravy,
all the best.
Dude. It's gravy,
dude. Thanks for coming out,
care.
Willie.
Yeah, you know what?
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for being
Have
a
fun in
7th round
Carolina.
pick, buddy. Go to LA, go to Philadelphia, go to Carolina. See you later, dude.
Yep.
Bye.
It's about that time, Ryan. We'll be back next week in the midst of the West Coast road trip that I predicted they'd go 3-0 on.
That's a big take, dude. That's a big take.
Yep. I want to thank everybody for downloading the show. We'll see you next week.